Hey guys, Cam from Inky Knuckles here, coming at you on our Wednesday night show. We were Word to the Wise Wednesdays. I don't know what I'm calling this week. Wild and Wednesdays, I guess, with this crew today. But we're going to be spending some time watching these spectacular individuals draw and get some insight into their process and kind of just chat with them about what makes them tick. So feel free to hit us up, ask some questions, and let's have some fun. First up, I'd like to introduce Rowdy, Rossi Gifford. How you doing, Rowdy?
Hey, yeah, I'm good. How are you?
Good. So far, so good. Adam hasn't done anything to sabotage the live stream yet, so
That's good.
I think we're good.
Yeah, he can be a jerk for that.
And next up, the Mississauga Mauler himself, Adam Gorham.
Hey.
How you doing?
I'm all right, man. Good to be here.
So you two drew the short straws with picking each other. At least that's how I pitched it to each of you.
Oh, I was kind of forced into it, I think.
But I both you guys being in Ontario, close together, knowing each other, I thought it'd be a good fit and make for some good conversation. So I like to start these things off by just railroading people with a question that they're not ready for.
Sure.
Okay.
What's the best book you've read in 2020? Rowdy, you're up.
Oh, shit. Let me actually see if I can find one. If I can see it. Also, look, get out of here.
Book or comic book? I meant comic because that's all I ever really read.
Oh, okay. Well, it's not a new one, but my friend got me this for my birthday, this one.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, I was very, very happy with this one because I've been talking about it, and Andrew Robinson's so freaking good. But yeah, a friend surprised me with that one, and I had kittens.
Oh, that's great. It's fun. It's funny because Brett Parson and we went live on Sunday, and Brett was talking about Andrew as well, Robinson, and that book specifically, which I keep staring at it at the comic store. And I don't know why I haven't got it yet. I think because the price tag's probably like 60 American. I'm feeling cheap at the time. I can't remember, but I probably have a handful of comic books every time I see it. So
it's like $21.99 Canadian. It's not bad.
Oh, that's not bad at all. I don't know what I'm thinking.
I think it's a pretty old book. I think. I don't know. I can't remember when it was made, but it's great. It's so. If only I could draw like Andrew Robinson.
Well, he does some pretty cool stuff because we were talking about that with Brett too. He does likeness so well, but it's also not like photorealistic, but you know who it is.
Oh yeah.
I love that guy's work. And Adam, you've directed us to your bookshelf.
Yeah, I can't. I'm thrown off with like left is right, right is left. So I'm trying to get myself sorted out here. Okay, so that's my bookshelf, obviously. Out of everything that I've read in 2020, there's been a lot of good stuff, but I also feel woefully underread. Danny Warren Johnson's Wonder Woman Dead Earth has been, the two books that have come out so far have been pretty great. I keep up with the Immortal Hulk, which I really enjoy. I read a lot of Marvel stuff. And then as far as like not comic book stuff goes, I've gotten into some nonfiction with, I read a book about the brain. I'm right now reading a book called Sapiens about the history of the human race, which is pretty fascinating. So that wasn't published in 2020, I don't think, but 2020 is when I got around to it.
Don't forget about the Color Out of Space that you're reading as bedtime story just last night.
Oh yeah.
Just last night.
That was cute.
I read that a while ago, and I figured that it would be the perfect, because like I don't know if you ever read H.P. Lovecraft, he has this vernacular, like it's pretty dated the way that he writes, and I presume the way people talked. So I knew that it was dense enough to put a child to sleep, and it worked.
That's fantastic. Have either of you guys watched that movie?
No, I'm looking forward to it though.
Because I watched it. I was surprised it was available on demand. I watched it, I think, last week.
Yeah.
There won't be any spoilers. I know Rossi and I talk horror movies quite often, so it's worth checking out.
Where's it from? Is it Netflix or?
No, it was on demand. I had to rent it for
okay.
$6 or whatever. But yeah, it's. I will say I didn't like it as much as Mandy, but it's not the same director, but same producers, and I think tried to capture a little bit of that aesthetic. But that's all I'll say about that. Yeah, and I don't. For me, I'm not immune to these questions. So, what have I been reading? Troy Nixie, he lent me Private Eye, which is really good. The Ice Cream Man, I'm really digging that.
Yeah.
I think, Adam, you and I might have talked about that.
Yeah, you were giving me some recommendations. Ice Cream Man was one of them.
It makes you feel horrible, but it's an amazing read. So it's funny with you guys because Rossi is like low key this insane horror buff with all this horror knowledge, and Adam is this low key, really humble comic guy. But I remember when I went to your LCS with you, it was you and I and Dylan, and all of a sudden you pulled out like 30 recommendations for me, just like that. And I'm like, he's downplaying how much knowledge he has in this right now.
It's like anything, I think. Like you could ask me, like what movies I enjoy or what TV, and these are like things that I watch all the time. But as soon as I'm on the spot, I can't think of any. But if we were in a video store or in a bookstore, I could like go by shelves and be like, this one, that one.
Well, I appreciate the knowledge that you guys are embarking upon me. It's funny, Adam, because you recommended that was right when it was Johnny Christmas and someone else the Alien 3 screenplay, the unused Alien 3 screenplay.
One of them, yeah.
Yeah, you recommended that to me, and I was talking to Gerardo Zaffino the other day because he likes Alien, but his favorite Alien is actually Alien 3.
Oh,
He's the only person I've ever heard say that, but he does have really good taste, so I won't bug him too bad.
Alien 3 has its defenders and its champions. It's certainly not my favorite. A couple of years back, I got a gig with Upper Deck drawing trading cards for the Alien. Like they had an Alien game, like Alien Legacy, and so they gave me some keyframes from a couple of the different movies to draw from, and one of them was Alien 3, and so I bought the quadrilogy. What is it when it's 4 movies? Quadrilogy,
I think.
Okay, but I bought that Blu-ray for really, really cheap, with all 4 of them, and I watched the third one, and I hadn't seen it for years, and I was surprised at how much I didn't really get into it. I thought I would find something that would kind of redeem the movie overall, and like I'm a big David Fincher fan, like a lot of people are, but it just didn't do it for me. But still very fun to draw.
Yeah, well, that's fair. Yeah, I'm kind of the same. I'd have to rewatch it. I think after Aliens, you combine everything like Prometheus and Alien 3 and Alien 4 and what.
I would take Alien 3 over Prometheus, though. I want that on the record.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the most recent one called?
Covenant.
Covenant's
fun.
See, I preferred Prometheus to Covenant quite a bit. Yeah. I don't know why. I didn't hate on Prometheus too much. I enjoyed that one.
Okay.
It was fine, but it's just the same thing over and over. I appreciate there were Scottish people in it. That I associated with. I was like, oh, okay.
I remember looking forward to it really intensely. It had It had a terrific trailer. It was just, and I loved the mythology that it seemed they were going to explore. So I think because like I had such high expectations, the fact that it was like mediocre at best really crushed me.
Just don't
Okay,
have
well.
expectations for anything, and you won't be disappointed.
That's usually my motto. That's how I treat most things.
Yeah, that's I don't know if it's good advice, good or bad. We'll
Very wise advice.
wise advice.
It's how I want people to regard me. You know what I mean? Like, just don't expect things from me, and then when you get them, you'll be like, oh, he's not so bad.
You'll be like, oh, you know what? He's decent. He's decent.
He's the Prometheus of people.
That's a pretty sick title, but it's so underwhelming.
I'm going to be using that on the next posts about you, Adam, the Prometheus people. And I love Prometheus, so it's a term of endearment coming from me. So
there you
coming
go.
from you. Yeah, we
Oh.
go.
So I guess we'll bring Gerardo on to debate alien movies here one of these times, which I honestly I could do all night, stuff like that. So I need to kind of reel myself in because I will happily debate horror movies and comics with people all night. But so you guys are each working on something different right now. Rossi, what are you working on?
So.
In what regards? Of comic stuff or just general work?
Just what's on your desk.
Oh, I'm doing a commission right now. I'm started on it. It's Maria and Saya from Deadly Class, if you can see it. There we go.
Awesome.
I did a couple of passes, then I just decided to draw digitally because it just helps me to problem solve, and then I just looked at it and then just it seemed to work, this tactic of drawing everything on paper from the screen. So that's what I'm working on tonight. And
nice.
Then,
as you're going along, I'll probably pull up the digital image that you posted, just so people can see the process as well. But that's interesting. I thought you showed us the digital image last night, and I really liked it. Really liked the direction, and the pencils look great.
Thanks. I was worried that it's sometimes because I draw digitally all the time now, mostly, especially with like animation work and stuff. So I always, when I go to paper, I'm like, I don't know if I recognize this, so I can do it. But it wasn't actually too bad. I'm pretty good at copying stuff. So looking at something on a screen and translating it actually worked out pretty nicely. I'm like, shit, this could work pretty handy. It's pretty primal just to copy something from a screen, but it worked. So,
especially when it's your own.
Yeah, you would think you would recognize you would be able to repeat it again, but sometimes there's lines on mouths. Like I spent like 10 minutes trying to get like a mouth right, and I'm like, there's something about this on the screen that I prefer than this on paper, and it's so tricky that I'm also particular that way.
And I'll bring Adam back into this too. For stuff like that, when you're trying to get the mouth right, you'll try and nail it down in the pencil stage. And
me, yeah, what?
Both, I guess. A question to pose to both of you: which will you try and nail it down in the pencil stage, or fix it in inks?
I mean, I try to. I've grown very accustomed to drawing in the ink stage, but I'm at a point now where, to save myself later frustration, I'm trying to get all that stuff figured out in pencils. So in a way, I'm kind of having to go backwards a little bit, which is, I should have sorted myself out long ago. But for a while, there was something really liberating about being able to do so much of the heavy lifting in the inking stage, because it is so, like there's a finality to it. And so there's something like the drawing always feels fresher and more, more alive, in a manner of speaking, than if I really plot everything. If I pencil too tight, all of that energy went into the penciling, and I don't think I'm going to recapture what I loved about the pencils and the inks at that point. So I save a lot of the magic for the inks. So this, one of my ambitions this year is to strike that balance where I'm a better draftsman, but I'm also saving that zest and verve while I'm inking. Because I
What's
always like inking so meditative, and it's when I'm usually happiest drawing is when I'm just losing myself in the inks.
one? I hear that from a few folks in our group. That that's kind of the therapeutic part. Um, it's funny too. I just wanted to relate it to when I commissioned you when we first started working together. You were posting progress pics of that, and your pencils were pretty tight at the time. Just relative to what you're talking about your process now. And I guess that was 2 years ago.
Yeah, this was like the piece in question was Walt Simonson's Thor, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So with you, I'm not ashamed to say that I took special consideration with your piece. I was definitely trying to impress. So yeah, I put a little more effort into that than I might have at the time. But I gotta say, I think your commission might have been a turning point for me, because since doing your commission, and the commissions that you've lined up for me since, I think you can attest that I've been like giving a lot of them some extra juice.
Yep.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, well, and I never hesitate to show off this piece because it's one of my favorite pieces. But I'm glad to hear that. Little did you know, I was already impressed before I commissioned this. So,
well, that's, if you had told me though, I might not have tried as hard, because I'd be like, this guy loves me.
Well, this one, your Cosmic Ghost Rider commission that got turned into a cover, the Magneto commission, the Daredevil commission. I'm just trying to think off the top of my head, some of those ones you're talking about, because, and just maybe a little insight to the, the commission mentality. These are definitely cover quality pieces, especially for collectors. And you had told me, I don't, it's not quite the same quality as I'll put into my covers. And then you handed me this, and I couldn't tell if you're lying to me or not about the first part. So, I just wanted to touch base on that. And like I said, I use every opportunity I can to show off that piece. But what are you working on tonight?
Tonight I'm going to be working on a Doctor Doom. Let me see here. There's the rough drawing underneath.
Oh, nice.
So I drew this earlier on just a piece of printing paper, and so I'll be lightboxing that onto some Bristol and then going at it with ink. So I have like a list of commissions right now that this is our virtual convention, so I'm doing my best to treat them like convention sketches, in that like I'm trying to do a lot on the spot but still make them pretty spectacular and worthwhile. So I found some time today to do like my rough drawing, and it's probably much much more detailed and refined than most of my rough drawings.
Yep.
And I've done like a couple of YouTube videos, and I think for those, like, I've just been, it's the idea of like being on camera, like a live broadcast. It's kind of, it's made me do a little bit more prep work than I probably would have, because there's people watching. But yeah, so just like the other videos I made, I'm just going to start going at this, and I guess you'll cut to and from as I progress.
Absolutely. And when Rossi, no pressure, but Evangelion J is watching, so
that I've given myself way too much work on that, but it's gonna, I hope I don't fuck it up, but
I'm sure it'll be awesome. How you doing, Jay? Glad you're joining. We've the crowd's a little quiet tonight, but I think and Jay says hi, Rossi.
Hello.
Yeah, well, it's funny because Jay came at me with that request, and I wasn't sure, but you seemed pretty excited about that one, Rossi.
Oh yeah, like I know the show really well. Like back in Scotland, I have like the platinum like box set of that series. So I'm a huge nerd for that. And when you mentioned it, this it's known, but you don't get a lot of like commissions of like, well, I've never had commissions of anime characters or shows like that. But when you mentioned that one, like that one's a tasteful one at least.
Yeah.
And when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, yeah, like I'll totally do it. But then you were just, it was so vague of like, what do they want? Do they want the pilots? Usually they want the sexy 14-year-olds. But then it was like, no, it's actually like the Avas fighting and just go crazy with it. I'm like, oh, okay. Anything else? Is like, no, that's it. I'm like, oh, sure. And I was like, oh my God, what am I going to do with this? But I took a while to like study some like what's the era? Is it Baroque? Like all those like old Renaissance like dramatic paintings of like angels falling and
Oh, cool.
demons. I've been looking into that and just that template. So I've got some idea what I'm doing. That it's super elaborate, and I'm sorry I'm taking so long with it. That I want to make it look really, really good because it's worth it. But
Yeah, well, and it's funny because well, Jay's got an insane collection, and not just insane, but I think Jay's got a really good eye and a really good feel for characters and requests because he's got a plethora of like Brian Boland or like covers and crazy commissions. But it's I think Jay just has a really good eye for stuff like that, and his requests, the ones that have come through us, have all been really cool, and I know that the group has been excited for them. So it's cool to hear your perspective and how you approach that, Rossi. And Jay says no pressure. Just came to watch Rossi and Adam in action.
That's so nice.
I was hammering these two all day about how they better be on their best behavior or else.
You're the one that gave me the nickname Rowdy Rossi, and I have no idea where that came from.
You're rowdy. Don't deny it.
Oh, good grief.
Well, I felt like I would have been the millionth person to call you that.
No one's ever called me that. I was just like, what? Is this a thing now?
No, well, Rossi and I haven't. We met at Fan Expo in 20.
We met last year, did we not?
Yeah, was it? Yeah, that was 2019. Yeah, and I didn't go to New York with you guys.
No.
This last year, I kind of bailed last minute, but the New York Comic Con before, I slept in a sliver of space beside Adam and Ed Brisson's bed.
Yeah, you did.
Which was actually, but that was last minute too.
You were the one sleeping in there. I remember visiting that room, and Adam told me how many men were sleeping in there. That's so funny. It's all coming together.
It was actually, well, Adam, being the awesome friend he is, even brought me a little air mattress. So, but in saying that, I'm just making fun of us a bit. But that weekend was a blast. That was the first time I'd ever been to New York, and just hanging out with this ragtag crew. That was a lot of fun. I missed that. That was a good time. So.
Yeah, that was a good year. I had a really nice time, and that was one of the. I think that was the first time you and I really palled around, right? So, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it was because we had we first met in person at Sask Expo.
Yeah.
And we spent and Rossi, you weren't there. I apologize. We were drinking whiskey without you.
Are you drinking whiskey now?
I have a little. I poured what was left of this little Japanese small batch one.
Okay. That looks nice.
Yeah, it does a trick.
Yeah, that's cheeky.
But yeah, we ended up. That was interesting. The Sask Expo and Adam, because Sask Expo is a smaller show, but Chris running the Artist Alley and everyone bringing in, there's a really cool comics focus. And so that year, you were there, Tyler Boss was there, Lonnie and Zach were both there.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember who else we were rolling with, but I just remember that was a really good time. We were sitting there drinking Japanese whiskey till about 2 a.m. in Lonnie's hotel room, I think.
Yeah, we were in a hotel room. Tyler Jenkins was there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Along with Lonnie and Zach, and one of them gave me this. We had stopped by and got some beers, and they bought some craft beer, and so I drank this peanut butter beer that tasted like Thai food because of the peanuts. I didn't enjoy it, but I was me. I was like, "Thanks, guys, this is terrific." And but it didn't go down so well. I can't recommend the peanut butter brew, but but I'm and I love peanut butter, so it breaks my heart to say it. But it was a nice night. It was in Sask Expo is one of my favorite shows.
Saskatoon. It's one of my favorite shows.
That's what I was gonna say, Rossi. Jesus.
Sorry.
It is, and I think it's funny because the collecting community, the original art collecting community in Western Canada, isn't that large, but the people who are into it are really into it. And for years, and my good buddy Byron, who commissioned that Rocketeer from you, Adam, I think you probably
I remember Byron.
And he was kind of helping with it in those first few years over there, and they always just had a good handle on it being, which creators to come. It wasn't just, some generic thing. It felt like there's a lot of thought. They really tried to bring in cool and unique creators, and that's one show I've always gone to and always had fun at. And it's a lot smaller than Van Expo or even Calgary Expo, but it's always one that's a blast. So we're prior to the world shutting down. Were either of you coming to that one this year?
I was going to be going to Regina in May. Chris asked me to go to that one, and I was really excited for that because Carrie was going to be there, and Andy and Belanger. Okay, I got it. Eventually, everyone was going to be there. Like, I was looking forward to that show, and I was meant to be doing Seattle as well. Me and Adam were supposed to be doing that, but obviously shit hit the fan.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I was gonna ask Chris if I was gonna come along to Saskatoon as well, because that's again my favorite show, and he always gets people Chris always asks, "Oh, do you have anyone you would like to come?" I'm like, yeah, 10 of these people would be great. And he always tries to accommodate and it's just always the right crowd of people, and it's always fun. I always have friends who are like, ew, Saskatoon, what's there to do there? It's oh, it's a good time. Always fun.
Yeah, I think it's always kind of flown under the radar. I've only done the Regina show once, which is odd because I'm closer. Where I grew up is a couple hours from Regina. I went to university in Regina, and but I've only done that show once. It didn't necessarily have the following that Saskatoon did, but I think it's growing quite a bit.
Interesting.
But who knows, with Saskatoon, we might be, that might kind of be on us coming out of this whole thing. So
you think there's going to be shows this year?
Well, because it's usually in September, right? I think if there are, those will be the ones that maybe exist. It's hard to say. Saskatchewan's really one of the better places on earth to better equipped for the pandemic because of the.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So I think but who knows? I'm skeptical, but it would be nice if we could attend shows safely later this year. So
I got my invite for New York Comic Con, and I was like, yeah, thanks guys, but I don't think that's happening, but it would be nice.
Well, and that's tricky too if you're trying to get arrangements and accommodations figured out
Yeah.
well in advance of that show. Because San Diego was officially canceled, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which I guess he expected it, but just a process question, Ross. You've never worked with like a light box or anything?
No. Considering like, well, even like I mentioned, I do animation, but I don't animate. Like I do character designs and development. Like I do the fun stuff. But yeah, I've always just done like either digital, but when Adam was talking about inking and like the process of like when you ink and you let loose with it, like I totally agree. Every time like I start inking again, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love doing this. But yeah, I've never going back to the question, I've never done like a light box. It would be pretty neat. Oh, I have done before though, like printing things off in blue and then inking from that. Like I've done that with like comic pages, but it's just I haven't done comics traditionally for a little while. Not since like Spirit Leaves, which is like super old. Like it feels weird to even mention it.
Well, it's just interesting because you guys are both, so you laid out what you wanted to lay out digitally, and then you penciled traditionally on the board, and now you're going straight to the inks.
Mm-hmm.
And Adam penciled on the printer paper, and then you're light boxing and you're penciling again, right?
Yeah, I'm just firming it up with pencils, and then I'm gonna scrap the underdrawing and just go into inks.
Okay, cool.
And I recently did like a Batman commission that I used some that I mixed some like a nice gray wash for, and I've got some of that left, so I think I'm gonna work that into this piece too.
Yeah, that's really good. Well, it's just interesting because I haven't. Well, I spent a little more time watching you work, Adam. Rossi, not as much, other than her live stream, but she never shows us what she's drawing on her Instagram lives. So I curse her name. I'm just kidding, Rossi.
I'm just not tech savvy.
Oh, yeah, the setup's pretty good here. I do the easy part. I just log in and send you guys a link, and then pretend I have any idea what I'm talking about the rest of the time. But yeah, I know because we did it we've done a couple with Gerardo. We've done one with Troy. He hasn't been set up to. Oh yeah, he was doing a little drawing on the one. And then Brett's got a pretty good setup, but everyone's different because everyone's workspace is a little different.
Yeah.
But no, this is good. It's just nice seeing how you guys operate. So, and Rossi, sorry, Adam.
Well, I was just gonna say that before the pandemic, it really never occurred to me to do a live stream or to like record myself drawing at length. So, I mean, I'm improvising a whole lot.
You're doing a good job, and it was funny because before I was just doing those Saturday night art shows on Instagram just for fun and showcase our group a bit. And Troy had kind of mentioned that I should try YouTube and try the YouTube live thing, but I think it has been good. Sharing the art's fun, and we still do that on Saturday nights amongst a few other things, but there really is nothing like seeing you guys draw. And I know for me, before I even started collecting, that's what hooked me was just seeing the pencils and the inks laid down in person. That I was immediately hooked as soon as I saw that. So I can't speak for all the collectors and all the fans out there, but I know it's something I really enjoyed. And I know a lot of people do. So Rossi, you mentioned you might have a project on the way coming up. Is that still?
So
what's the outlook?
Shifted a little, like it basically fell flat. But then with that happening, and I think with the pandemic happening, like comics is a little bit it's a bit wonky right now. So sometimes there's always a bit of like blessing in disguise. But the same artist who got in touch with me, we've just like he was pretty disappointed that it fell through. Like he was really excited to work with me, and we just decided, why don't we do a Kickstarter on something else?
Oh,
So
wow.
we're gonna do that in the summer because I'm pretty booked up. I've just signed a contract with Hulu with something else at the moment, and that's with the freelance stuff. So once that's out the way, we're going to do like some sample pages, some concepts, and we're going to try and aim for that like late summer. So we're pretty excited about that.
Oh, that's very cool to hear. And obviously, I won't say who the person you are working with is, but it's someone who is very awesome and very prominent.
Oh yeah, it was a surprise when he messaged me, and I was like, are you sure? And he was like, yeah. I'm like, okay. But yeah, it was really, really cool because I've been following this person for years now. And then I've only met them a few times at shows, and it's always been me being utterly pissed. So they probably don't have a good impression of me. But it ended up working out. And he was like, no, you're cool. I like your artwork. Let's do something. I'm like, oh, all right. Because I don't feel like I'm like a proper comic artist. I just like do some stuff and then I draw other crap.
I think you're being too hard on yourself.
I do that too, yes.
Well, that's exciting. I'm happy to hear that you guys are still collaborating because
Yeah.
it's an interesting mix for sure.
Oh yeah.
Out of all the names, you told me you had a project with someone coming up, and then you told me who it was. It was kind of it was a bit of a surprise, but and not for any other reason than that's just maybe not who I expected. But it's insanely cool,
Oh
one way or
yeah.
the other. And I
Because
think,
they're already like a hint. They're already an amazing, amazing artist. And so the fact they got in touch with me and they're like, oh, I've got a story that I want you to draw and not me. I'm like, but you would do a so much better job of it. But he was
no,
no, it was very cool. So we chatted today actually about stuff and I just gave him my schedule because just I'm full-time freelance now, which has been really nice. And hopefully we'll get that started in the summer. So that's good at least. We've got something else. And I think it's better to do like a Kickstarter for like personal projects now, like just for comic creators and everything. That seems to be kind of the way forward a little bit. So that's
yeah.
quite neat.
Well, and I think too, you two being able to capture your own unique vision without too much,
Yeah.
editorial push, I think will be really cool because it's a really unique combination, the two of you.
Mm-hmm.
But I think there's something in there that it probably makes a lot of sense. So I'm excited.
Should we mention the name?
Well, it's up to you. I didn't want to spoil anything. I didn't want to get you in trouble. So
I know. I don't know if I would get into trouble, but I feel like saying, but I don't know if I would. I haven't
Yep.
asked him, so maybe I shouldn't, but I'll probably announce it sometime soon.
we'll the next live stream, if he
Okay,
says it's
that's a
okay,
good call. Yeah.
maybe do it there.
Yeah.
It'll be cool regardless. So,
Yes, it will be.
and speaking of projects, Adam, you
What up?
showed me some stuff today that really unnerved me.
Yeah. Yeah. So I showed you some pitch art. I got a couple of irons in the fire, I guess. I mean, it's funny to talk about because while I'm still plugging away on things, there's still so much uncertainty hanging in the air. So while it's tough to, talk about anything in definite terms, I am trying to follow through on doing some more creator-owned work, apart from work for hire, which I also really enjoy. But like with work for hire, you don't necessarily get to choose the stories you want to tell, and I have stories that I want to tell with creators that I'm very excited about working with. And so, anyways, I know I've been showing you a couple of things, and one of them is in the horror genre, and yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. If it happens, whenever it happens, we'll see. But it's fun to draw, that's for sure.
No, it's really cool because you're when I think we talked about this. Can't remember when we talked about it, but you're such a nice, kind person, but you excel so much in horror. It's
Right.
it's hilarious because
It's it's all it's all my, like I guess I'm nice, I guess, but
I was gonna
um
say he's very good at looking and acting nice.
hey,
so
he treated me to Union Chicken when I was down there, him and the family.
What a fucking blessing.
uh yeah, she's hard to impress, that one, but um I guess horror is I guess for like a lot of people, it's that it's where you can, like, if when you want to get a safe thrill, watching horror does that. And I guess when you want to express some things in yourself that are maybe unusual or dark or whatever, horror is also the perfect genre to do that in. And it's also a great genre to, I guess, face your own fears and worries. And obviously we're living in a time where we're literally plagued with plenty to worry about. So I think a lot of us might be running to horror. And it's funny because, like, I love movies, and I noticed that 2020, before the pandemic took hold of everything, there was some like great horror movies that were coming out. And I know that, like, you mentioned The Color Out of Space earlier. I was looking forward to that. I was looking forward to The Invisible Man, which I heard was pretty excellent.
Mhm.
So I think while most people are having all of the scares that they need from real life, I do think that we'll see a lot of people escaping in like horror films and horror stories, more than usual. So I don't know. In my opinion, the future's bright for horror.
Oh, that's a really good point. And what did you guys either of you watch the Invisible Man?
I haven't. I would love to. Like, I think there's just like Adam's saying, like horror. It's I feel like horror now is kind of getting the appreciation it's getting now. Like A24, the stuff they're producing is just out of this world and making it's a subtle horror, or like how horror should be in some degree. Like it doesn't have to be like tacky or anything. But
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
they're allowed to tell good stories with high
yeah.
quality filmmaking, and
Oh
it
yeah.
just happens to be in the horror genre now,
Mm-hmm.
uh,
You can
which
explore
is
so much in horror too. There's subgenres and categories in it that you can explore. Like there can be comedy and drama and just so much in sci-fi horror too. And there's just so much of it that you can explore with that. Fear is always going to be with us.
that's very true. And it's funny, Rossi, because you and I talked about the Canadian film, and Adam, maybe you can chime in. Have you seen The Void, Adam?
No, but I've heard of it. I heard that it will melt, like it'll melt your face off.
Eh,
It's well, and Rossi has differing feelings on this, and we both agreed, Rossi, that
yeah.
the trailer made it look like the greatest
Oh
horror
yeah.
movie, especially for like a cosmic terror thing. Like the trailer was
Really.
phenomenal.
It was
Um,
amazing. Everyone was excited. I was. And then yeah, I remember watching. I wanted to like it, and there's still bits of it that I do. It looks very pretty, but it just fell flat for me, and it was just so disappointing.
It's your
But
Prometheus.
yeah, you kind of get hyped up, and again, like the trailer was like, "Whoa, this is super cryptic. What's going to happen?" There's so much, but that was the problem. There was so much going on. You could tell these guys were like really into horror and wanted to jam all the good stuff in it and make it look cool. And I haven't seen it for a while, so I can't comment on it properly, but I don't know. I know I'm not gonna watch it again. It was just kind of like, oh, it was disappointing. I can't remember if you liked it or not, Cam. Sorry.
Well, no, I went there by myself. I went to the small little indie theater, one of the ones here in Calgary, and it was just a cool night. Like lots of people were at the show, lots of people were into it. It was like a Saturday night. But yeah, there was probably too many concepts going on.
Yeah.
Because by the end, it was so kind of convoluted that
Yeah.
it just maybe didn't add up. But
It makes sense. It was like all really cool stuff, but it didn't like come together. You're just like, okay, you obviously saw this from there. You wanted that. That looks cool, so you got to throw that in there. But I just remember being kind of like, what the hell is going on? And it was cool though. There was some really cool stuff, like the melted faces and demons and stuff. You're like, this is wacky. But yeah, it was a bit underwhelming, which is a shame.
Yeah, I often think about this the story I would try and tell based on the trailer and
Yeah.
how, but it's hard. That trailer that was one of the greatest trailers I've ever seen,
Oh,
especially for a horror
okay.
movie.
Yeah. What is the new one that's by A24? Is it The Green King? Oh, is it? Oh, I'm really bad with just everything with names. But there's a new A24 movie coming out. I think it could be The Green King, and the trailer for that looks amazing. But again, those guys are like killing it with movies, like with Midsommar and Hereditary. There's another one I saw. Oh, I can't remember. Sorry. I think the whiskey's getting to me, guys.
The Green Knight.
Oh, The Green Knight. That's it.
Yeah, I googled that, so I can't lay claim to pulling that.
No, but that's good. So you didn't leave me hanging. So I'm like, what? Yeah, that trailer looks so good.
I have not seen that, so I'm going to check that out. So for you guys, I think Midsummer and Hereditary were kind of two big turning points for the genre. Which have you guys seen them both? Why, Rossi? I know you've seen them both. Adam,
Yeah.
have you seen both of them? And which one do you prefer out of the two?
I've seen both of them. I think that Midsummer is probably it's probably the stronger film of the two. However, Hereditary is probably the one that I would want to rewatch first. While I really do, and I'm impressed with like everything that Midsummer did. It's also like just not a good time. Like it's but I mean, like, and that's to its credit. Like it's over the course of its runtime, it's building up, dread, paranoia, just like, loading you up with these different kinds of anxieties, and I think plays on your insecurities. So it's, like I couldn't help but see myself in various characters as the movie played out in Midsummer, and also just identifying with, being in a situation where you feel like, while I can't put my finger on it, there's something askew, and it's only getting increasingly worse as time goes by. Kind of like a frog that's in, water where the heat's rising, that doesn't realize it until it's too late. So I applaud all of that, but by the end of the movie, while I could appreciate everything that I had endured, it certainly was an endurance test. Whereas I feel Hereditary, like it was along the same lines in that it was dealing with like the occult and folklore, but it was also kind of good, like also like a haunted house vibe. And I like ghost stories and I like haunted house movies, so like I'm naturally drawn to a story like that.
Yeah.
And so that's how I feel about this. Like, I think they're both probably on par with each other in terms of like this, the quality of the story being told and the level of execution. And this is like this this guy, he's only has these 2 movies under his belt, which is pretty crazy. Because he's got a real, Ari Aster's got such what feels like a precise vision in terms of the story that he's wanting to tell. So, it's weird to see a movie where everything feels like it's, like this fine-tuned watch in the way that it's letting its story unfold by such a new director. But so I don't know. Like I've lost myself. I've talked too much. I forget what my point is. They're both good.
Well, no, that I like that direction because you brought up a whole bunch of good points, and just Ari Aster specifically. I think I was reading something on him that he, his filmmaking is kind of a projection. It's him dealing with his own anxieties and his own fears.
Sure.
And you really see it there, because those movies, at various points in both of those movies, they're horrifying.
Oh yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
It's absolute true horror because we can all relate to it. Like I think Midsommar, I adore both, but I think Hereditary spoke more to me because obviously someone who gone through grief, the way he does it in that movie, it's weird to say, but it's very genuine and respectful. And for me, I associated with that, and it seemed very real. And I think it's more genuinely scary. I remember it was Kerry Nod was over, and he was crashing at mine, and I hadn't seen Hereditary, and he was like, "Oh, it's great, we should watch it." And we watched it in his little his iPad, and there's a scene. I won't ruin it for people that haven't seen it, but there's a scene when the son wakes up in the room, and it's near the end. Oh, and I was losing my shit. I was like, "Oh fuck!" And he was like, "What?" And I tilted the screen, and he saw it, and he freaked out. So we're both going, "Oh shit!" And it was just really funny because he hadn't seen that in this theater that I had seen in the corner. Like, "Oh my god!" And it was genuine scares. And then Midsommar, I saw that in the theaters. And oh god, it was a bunch of us that saw it, and there was just a lot of heavy breathing. There was a lot of awkward laughter, but that movie also moved me. I was touched by the end and happy because the character kind of found peace at the end, oddly enough. But it was yeah, I don't know. It's very, very difficult.
Well, it's interesting because the climax of Hereditary, and that's not even the scariest or most disturbing part of the movie, but the climax, I had a physical reaction to what was going on. I could feel it in my bones. I was so scared because I was at the theater by myself again.
Oh my god, Cam, I would be freaking out. I'd be like, no, don't do that.
Well, I'd heard so much good things about it, and I really want to see these movies on the big screen, just to really capture that full effect. So I went by myself. But more to your guys' point with Midsommar too. One thing about Midsommar is I think I was enamored with Florence Pugh the whole movie.
Oh God. Beautiful girl, but just amazing in that movie. All the actors were good in that. Really genuine good laughs. And I think that was an extra interesting balance of humor that's really relatable and how awkward it was. It was very real. What would you do in that scenario? And those characters, they probably should have just left as soon as they got there. But it was overall very realistic in that sense. But the cast in that were amazing, and just that setting, and just the fact it's in daylight, and you're disoriented throughout. It's excellent.
Because part of you wants to kind of be there.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Part of it looks amazing. Well, and to Adam's point too about rewatching Hereditary versus Midsommar, I'm kind of the same way too. Just because there's too much light in Midsommar, so everything that's gross in that movie is all the way gross because you can see it. There's no darkness hiding anything. I look back on that movie and I feel grossed out at times just because it's all in daylight.
Yeah.
And so that kind of mind you, they're both phenomenal, but
So good. Very different, but I like he's got his themes with like the beheadings. Like I've watched a lot of breakdowns of his like storytelling, but he's got a lot of things with the beheadings and rituals and demons and cults, and that's really cool, but very different kinds. I see them as almost like in a book of like short stories of just the same theme, but him telling it in a different way.
yeah, because that head trauma is something that's very prevalent in his movies.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's definitely all by design. But taking a step back from terror and horror, with what you guys are currently working on right now, have you read much Deadly Class, Rossi?
I did start reading it, but it's been a while since I think I always do this. I start with one or two issues, but I don't collect floppies at all. And I always wait for the trades, but I started reading it and I liked it, but I actually don't know much about it, which is pretty bad because I know there's like a TV show of it now.
What you were pretty drawn to the request though? Was it more so the character designs you really liked?
I think so. It's a very shallow attraction. Like I just like how the characters look and I know them well enough that I'm like, oh yeah, I can like elaborate on like the fashion and poses. Like so it's very, very shallow.
You don't undersell yourself. Oh, I think Adam just went dark for a second.
Uh-oh.
Oh no, there he's good.
Yeah, I'm having some technical. I'm having some technical difficulties. The audio got really choppy.
Oh no, yeah, that's okay.
I think it's improved.
Well, I was a little concerned too because my connection went a little wonky off the start. But what kind of affection do you have for Doctor Doom?
None. I was thinking about this because like when I made a couple of videos on YouTube and I thought about maybe talking a bit about the characters that I was drawing and like, either, memories I had of reading about those characters and, what I knew about them and so on. And with like, the two I've done before, like Batman and the Ninja Turtles, and that's pretty easy because I grew up, like pretty exposed to both those characters. So there was a lot that I could say off the cuff. And I got thinking about that with Doctor Doom, and I realized, there wasn't as much that I could say. I didn't read much Fantastic Four when I was growing up. I watched a bit of the 90s animated series while it aired. And so I don't, apart from like the few terrible movies that have come out and some stories where he's appeared here and there's not a lot that I don't have the knowledge or background of the character to properly appreciate him. But, I know that he's a fan favorite. A lot of people respect his villainy and, he's a force to be reckoned with in the Marvel universe. So like I get all of that, but I don't know. I don't have a proper connection to the guy, so I can't really say how I feel about him one way or another, other than he's kind of fun to draw. Like he has this, it's weird. Like he's, his character, like he's a sorcerer. He knows magic and he's a scientific genius. So I guess he deals in magic and science hand in hand. And so like I think he has the same technological prowess as Tony Stark while having the same magical prowess as Doctor Strange. So he, for somebody who's supposed to be really cool, he kind of dresses like a goof. Like his costume is kind of goofy, but you know what? I really enjoyed that infamous Iron Man run by Bendis and Malev or Melev or forgive me for butchering his name, but I really enjoyed that series. I liked his characterization in Secret Wars that Hickman had done, where he basically was God. of the Marvel Universe remix. And there's that scene where he's kind of Annihilus and Thanos and all these other heavies are kind of staging a revolt in Doctor Doom's universe, and he just he stands toe to toe with Thanos and just puts Thanos in his place, and it's just this great little action beat. So that was pretty awesome, I gotta say. But I can see he's so he's so villainous. He's villainous in a way where it's like classic comic book villainous. There's not a lot of, to my mind, there's not a lot of nuance to him. He's sort of like the Phantom of the Opera, where he loves Sue Storm and he's hideous and he's so vain he has to wear a mask and so on, and he's so tormented that he has to live his life in his castle with his cloak and his cape and all that. I don't know. So it's funny, but I liked the arc of Infamous Iron Man where after the event Secret Wars he was reformed. As a reader, you're always second guessing his convictions, whether he's really reformed, and so on. And I think that book ended at issue 12 and may have been folded into other books going on. So I didn't continue with the character. So I'm not sure whether he was faking it or not. But I really enjoyed that book, especially the way he played off with Ben Grimm in that series. And I think Doctor Strange showed up in that as well, if I'm not mistaken. I like him enough, but I can't say that I got a lot of. I don't have the feels for him.
That's why it's interesting that you said you don't like him that much, but then you educated all of us in depth on.
I was just like, oh, all right.
Yeah, I learned a lot just now, Adam. Well, I know you have a big affection for the X-Men universe, so I was going to give you the gears. You just don't like him because he's not an X-Men bad guy. But it's funny, Infamous Iron Man.
I feel.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, I feel like if Doctor Doom wanted to, mess with X-Men, he could. You know what I mean? He'd give them a run for his money. He seems like he's capable of that.
Well, I bring it up quite often. My first 3-pack of comics I bought at Target in Minot, North Dakota. It had Marvel Presents 100 in it, and that's a story with Doom, Wolverine, and Ghost Rider. And then Nightmare's the villain in it, and it was Sam Keith. So crazy art, but as a kid, it felt so weird and obscure to me, that story. But that was Doom showed up in my first real foray into Marvel Comics way back in the day. But
interesting.
It's fun. The Infamous Iron Man, I hadn't read it, but the one thing when we were in New York together that I recall is that one cover was at Malieve's table. It was hanging at his booth. It was the one with Doom on the horse. It was that fully painted cover. I don't know if you know which one I'm talking about, Adam.
Yeah, I saw that. It was unreal.
Yeah, that out of all the art that was at that show, especially the painted stuff, because Bianchi was there and Federici, and there was just a ton of really great painters there. But that piece specifically, I recall, I was enthralled by. But
well, I remember people had different, at least two different people had come to my table to talk about that piece.
What?
So it had left quite an impression on the people there, as it should. It was
interesting though, because I'm pretty sure it didn't sell at the show, and I'm pretty sure it was still available for a while after the show online. And I remember thinking like my art budget's already been spent. I had a couple commissions. I didn't go in with like a huge budget like I have in years past at those shows, but if I would have had the ask price on that, I would have got it instantly. Obviously it wasn't cheap, but considering how many people buy art at that show, I was very surprised that no one had bought it, because I definitely think that was the most impressive piece of the show, in my humble opinion.
I'm sure Alex was surprised too.
I should check to see where it stands, if it's still available somewhere. But I just remember being very surprised. Rossi, can you hold that up for us just so we can have a peek?
I do like bits and bobs of it.
Oh, awesome.
So I have a problem where I get bored really easily. So I'll start with like this one, and then I'm like, okay, I'm done with your face. I'm gonna go to the other one.
Wow, that looks fantastic. And is that 11 by 17?
Yes.
Cool. Well, it looks a little bit bigger. Maybe it's just a screen, but
No,
it's
11 by 17. Yeah.
oh cool. No, it looked wider, but that looks really cool. You guys are killing it.
It's something.
Yeah. So after this, what projects, what daytime projects do you guys have in the next few weeks? Catching up on some commissions, doing some other pitches projects. And Rossi J says, "Damn, that looks great."
Oh, thank you. No, I have so much going on. Like I usually this is kind of like my evening off that I'm doing commission work, because usually I have like other freelance going on. Like I have like 3 other clients for animation stuff going on. So that's so that's what I do in the day, and then I'll do commissions at night. And thank goodness I actually have like stuff to do during like a quarantine time, because it's not easy being at home all day and just sitting with your thoughts.
Yeah, that can be very challenging. One, it's interesting because I think there's art and comics is really helping a lot of people, especially the circles that we roll in, with comics, with professionals and collectors alike.
As artists, we can at least kill time, and we kind of are used to being at our desks all day. So yeah, sometimes I realize now that I'm a really social person, so I really miss people. That I didn't realize how much I did miss people until like a few days ago. I was like, oh my God. That I'm pretty content like walking all day and doing stuff. But yeah, some days you're just like, oh God, it's just finding the motivation to work sometimes. That's why I like taking on a lot of different kind of projects, so I can work on something for a little bit and then do something else later.
Yeah, well, it's something to get everyone through. And I know you guys spend a lot of time at your desks, drawing, but a lot of artists I talk to quite often, a lot of you guys are extremely social. So I think people don't quite capture that despite, you working from your studio or working from home, you still have those social cravings and things like that. It's been an interesting time, just because a lot of art is a lot of people are opening commission lists. There's a lot of drawing right now, and honestly, a lot of incredible art coming out of it. I'm saying this because you two are doing some amazing stuff right now. So it's really interesting time. But thank God for you guys, because us comics and art junkies, it'd be infinitely more challenging, if we didn't have commission lists. We didn't get to see you guys draw. I didn't get to see new postings daily. So it's pretty great.
It's interesting to see. Like I was worried about that. It's like, who's even gonna invest money into like creators right now? Because everyone is worried about like working and saving, like what's going on with like just people's day jobs, but that seems to be going really well. Like most creatives I've spoken to, they're just packed up with commissions and obviously supporting the comic book stores and everything. It's just everyone's contributing a bit of something, so that's been really cool to see.
Yeah, it has been. I think the community's kind of banded around it, and we'll see what the community looks, just what the industry looks like on the other side. But I think comics fans and art fans, we're a rabid bunch. So there'll be perseverance through and through. You guys are both working on commissions right now. Is there anything out there that you guys haven't been asked to do that you would love to do for commission request or a cover or anything like that?
You want to start, Adam?
I recently declared an interest in doing more anime characters or manga characters for that matter. And I think at this point I would also say it would be kind of fun to do some Star Wars characters. I surprisingly have drawn very little Star Wars art in my time.
That is kind of odd. I'm trying to think if I've seen you tackle anything Star Wars. It's funny too, because when I got into the hobby, I was such a I'm only going to commission comic book characters and things like that. But now it's definitely shifted. I've recently commissioned an artist to do a Happy Gilmore piece for me. So whether that's a brilliant idea or a terrible idea, I don't know. But there's been a shift. So Rossi, you're up.
Oh, okay. I remember for New York Comic Con, I did what's that movie? Oh shit. Eternal Sunshine on the Spotlight. Is that right? The
Eternal Sunshine. Yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah.
Yeah, that was my friend Alex that got me to commission that. That was really fun to do, and I have not seen the movie, which I probably should, but people keep telling me not to watch it because it's super sad. But I love that shit. But I did that, and that was really fun. Like I like actually doing a lot of commissions of I like doing caricatures of people, which seems kind of odd because so many people hate doing commissions of people, actual characters or actors. Or I get a few times at shows, I'll have someone ask me to draw them, and I actually really like doing that. I have a lot of good fun doing portraits and caricatures of people. So I like doing that a lot, and movie reference and stuff. I would like to do actually, considering how known my work is for Spider-Gwen, I actually don't get a lot of commissions for her. Or I haven't done any cover work for that, which I would like to do or more. So Spider-Gwen's still on the list.
There, anyone listening, if you're after something to hit Rossi's sweet spot, that stuff's not working right now. It's that. Bootlegging is a Habit kind of has an interesting one about Peach Momoko doing a American Psycho piece.
Oh, really?
That is insanely cool. I don't know if you have that on CAF or Instagram, but if you do, you should direct us there because that would be really cool. Peach does some really cool and unique stuff.
Yeah.
I actually saw a good pal of mine has 2 or 3 pieces from her. One of them's a cover, the Silver Surfer Black cover she did, and it's really cool. She's great.
Nice.
She's great. So Star Wars and Spider-Gwen. Oh, it's on her. Bootlegging says it's on her Instagram. I'll have to go check it out. That is very cool. American Psycho, another deeply unsettling movie. Although I was really young when I watched it, so I don't think I really understood too much what was going
That
on.
movie is great.
Well, I think that like I didn't see a lot of Christian Bale stuff between that and Batman, so it was such a dynamic shift.
Oh yeah. I think I was pretty young when I watched that too, and I didn't really quite grasp it then, but I don't know. I kind of got brought up with like a lot of weird artsy and movies I probably shouldn't have watched when I was younger, but I love that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I hear you. But yeah, so well, it's an hour 15 minutes, guys. I said we go for an hour, so we'll just kind of wrap it up, let you guys finish. If you guys are so inclined. Well, and Rossi, you probably aren't going to get that all linked tonight, are you?
Oh, good grief, no. I'm sorry, it's been a while since I've inked, but I'm not gonna get this done.
No, it's all good. I was just gonna bug you guys for pictures, but don't show me anything till it's done.
Okay.
But Adam, feel free to share some pictures with me later on this one. Looks like you're rolling through. It looks awesome on both fronts, guys.
Thanks.
And yeah, well, if that
Sorry, I haven't been too chatty because if I may jump in rudely, I'm sorry. I haven't been too chatty because it sounds really on my phone. I keep getting worried that I'm just gonna disappear. So every time I talk, like I feel like I'm talking while a helicopter is chopping away.
it's a little sporadic, but it's not bad. We've definitely had worse. But before we go, guys, you just want to hold up the piece. We'll go. You can go first, Rossi. Just hold it up so everyone can have a look. Looks awesome. Coming along great. 11 by 17. Rossi's commissions. And Rossi, you're open right now for commissions, correct?
I am. I can do those in the evenings.
With a nice glass of scotch.
Yeah, and that's nearly done. Like I'll sleep well tonight.
I was gonna say you're gonna go out, but I guess there's nowhere to go right now.
Oh, good grief! Don't even joke about that. I'm desperate to go out.
Well, how far is Adam's house from where you live?
It's too far. We've already talked about this. No, but he's too far away, the asshole.
Yeah, he lives out in I want to say the sticks, but I'm from Saskatchewan, and Adam lives in Mississauga, and it's far from the sticks. And Adam, nice,
Jesus.
very awesome.
Hey,
looks great.
I think there's a delay on the audio because you two were clearly talking shit about me that I heard.
We were. I just love there was a slow response.
That's so you can't have a quick and witty retort. I put that delay in there intentionally.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
That looks awesome.
Well, this game's rigged. Oh, thank you.
Well,
Nice.
guys, that's it. That's all. Thanks for everyone who's watching. And feel free to hit me up if you want anything from either of these wonderful individuals and moderately talented artists. I say that in jest. I love you both and your art. But hit me up, cam@inkyknuckles.com, and we'll get these two on another show very soon. It was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Everyone have a good night.
I don't know where I'm looking.
Bye.
Bye.